Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/malicious compliance. And our first story. Hell hath no fury like a teenager scorned. Growing up, my family ran a business dealing with water and wastewater pumps. By the time I was in high school, I worked for them outside of school as needed, and I'd grown up around the industry. At the time of this story, I was 16, maybe 17. I got a few funny looks out in the field sometimes, but normally wasn't a problem. This time, it was. Many sales they make are bids. You go to the Builder's Exchange, which is basically a library for plans and blueprints. You pull the plans, get to the part applicable to you, and see what they want or need. Then you submit a price you think will win you the job. Many times the plans will actually specify a model that meets their needs, in which case you bid that or a comparable one. Other times they'll give you specifications and selection, and matching is up to you, going through books and software for curves, chart that shows how it flows under load. This time was the former. The job is a retrofit/expansion on the city plant. The engineer had specified a model of pump he wanted, and I'd matched its specs. Put it in a submittal for approval on the substitution is required. It gets approved, and we're cleared to enter a bid. We proceed forward, putting together the bid. At one point, I have the plans in front of me, and I'm looking at the drawings. I don't like what I'm seeing, which is a lot of pipe and a lot of distance. I check and recheck and come up with the same result. The total head is how far you're pumping calculated by distance and including losses from the pipe, is too much for the pump that was specified, way too much. This puts the pump way outside its curve. It's going to be deep into overload. I used my corrected numbers and found a proper match, but not only was it significantly more expensive, but physically different and would require large revisions. So I put together a revised submittal with the numbers I ran and the recommended pump. It included the math from the drawings and the curves, faxed it over to the engineer's office, then I called him. It did not go well. Not only did he not listen to me, he was more than happy to lecture me. How dare I, a kid, tell him how to do his job? No, he would not accept any revisions or resubmittals. I had no idea what I was talking about, and I, personally, was no longer to have contact on this project. He did not use nice words. This couldn't stand. It was going to cause serious problems down the line, so I did the only thing I could think of. I found the contact for city planning and told him. Made it about 3 minutes into trying to explain who I was and why I was calling before he cut me off and told me to refer to the engineer and not to contact him again. Tried again for someone else later, did not make it past the receptionist. As you wish. I took the revised submittal and filed it in the back of the job file and moved on. I wasn't needed for the rest, and I had other things to do plus school. Fast forward almost 2 years, now going to college, still working for my folks as needed, construction complete, get called in for startup, goes smoothly as it should, and the countdown to destruction begins. I think the first one went after about 3 months. Only made it that long because those pumps are very well built. Emergency ship in a replacement, second one a week or 3 after, and another, then the replacements start failing. The whole time these are being invoiced, including emergency shipping, and having to run out to start them up every time. They have no choice. This is the model the pads were cast for and the piping run for. You can't directly substitute something else like, say, the correct pumps. Then it really gets fun. They start returning the burnt-out units for warranty. The factory starts receiving these and tearing them down for failure analysis. I told our rep straight up that they were being run way outside their design point knowingly. He was not amused. Warranties denied, and they are billed for the diagnostic time and shipping. Manufacturer was in Germany, by the way. Shout out to the fine folks at KSB, love you. These units are neither small nor light. Plus, these are being shipped as emergency orders. Not cheap. Warranties officially denied to the buyer. We tell them in no uncertain terms that this isn't a problem with the units. This is almost a year after the plant was due to come online. Now the crap has really hit the fan. City Council gets involved because this is a municipal plant, lawsuits are threatened, and a council meeting is scheduled to discuss further action. I marked the day and arranged with my teachers to take a few days off. I didn't live close to home. Drove 3.5 hours to see my parents and to visit their filing cabinet, right where I left it. Out came the revised submittal, and a quick trip to Kinko's, local copy shop, provided some wonderful blown-up posters of said submittal, as well as the proofs behind it. The next day, I drove another 2.5 hours up to said city, had a lovely meatball sandwich at a restaurant right across the street from the council building, and showed up to the council meeting. I even dressed up nice for the occasion. I didn't say anything to anyone, just sat in the back in my chair with my rolled-up posters next to me and waited. Took about 40 minutes. The council finally brings up the plan. Guess who comes up to testify in front of the council? It's the engineer. He goes on for about 10 minutes talking crap about our company and how we're denying the warranties, basically states that the problem is due to the substitution and that our pumps were substandard. This is a loss now counted in the millions between downtime and replacement costs and rejected warranties, labor, etc. Council swallows his bullcrap hook, line, and sinker. He sits down and the council starts discussing among themselves. This is my cue. I stand up, approach the podium, and wait for them to notice me. Doesn't take long, as I'm a teenager in a city council meeting. I introduce myself and unroll the posters. Me. Hi, I'm Crispy Silicon from Going to Ruin Your Effing Day. Before you proceed any further, you should probably have a look at this, which is the revised submittal I sent to the engineer prior to the initial bid. You'll note the date. Also attached, you'll find the supporting calculations, relevant drawings from the original plans, and the recommendation of a larger suitable unit. You'll also see the fax acknowledgement sheet showing it was received by his office. Immediately after sending that, I contacted the engineer directly and advised him of these issues. He declined. I was told outright to keep my nose out of things I didn't understand and to leave engineering to the adults. He was well aware the units would self-destruct if run at this point. After that, I called your planner, who refused to listen and referred me back to the engineer. If you'd like, I'd be more than willing to contact our phone provider so they can verify that fax and phone calls were placed. I'm grinning like the Cheshire Cat at this point, and I'm not holding back the evil one bit. I'm sure I look like a psychopath, but I couldn't help it. I also didn't care. Dead effing silence. So yeah, the warranties are void as all of the units were operated well beyond their design point. I still stand by the revised submittal, so feel free to call when you're ready. I'll leave these here. Still, completely silent. The entire council looks like I just dropped my pants and mooned them. Then after a few seconds, one of the ladies on the council gave me a, "Thank you, Mr. Silicon, you can go." I left my posters on the podium, turned and walked, made full eye contact with the engineer as long as I could with that same grin. He looked like he was probably going to vomit. Didn't stick around to check. Stopped by to give my folks a hug on the way back to school, and that was the end of my involvement. No idea what happened to the engineer or planner, but the city paid every invoice in full without another peep. They had to continue to purchase replacement after replacement to limp along while simultaneously trying to refit the plant. They finally got it fixed after about another year, but by that time, I can't even imagine how far over the projected estimate they were. I hope that engineer's liability insurance were paid up. And we've got our next story waiting for us. Restaurant employee amuses himself, delights me and my kids. Yesterday, I decided to take my kids to an international chain restaurant. In this restaurant, the kids' meal comes with ice cream, but you have to serve yourself. That was a problem because there weren't any bowls beside the ice cream machine. So I thought, I know what to do. I'll simply ask an employee for some bowls. And that's just what I did. So he turns to look at the vast array of bowls behind him, some sauce-sized, some entree salad-sized, and many in between, and we realize that neither of us knows what size the kid's ice cream is intended to be. So he thought, I know what to do. I'll simply ask a manager. And he says, "Hey boss, what do we put the kid's ice cream in?" Without turning around, the boss says, "Effing bowl, what do you think?" "Yeah, but what size bowl?" The boss, with his charm, tact, and grace, says, "Just effing give him a bowl." The employee looked back at the bowls. Then I saw him get a big grin over his face. "I apologize about that, sir. I think it's probably these ones," he says as he hands me two of the largest bowls they have in the restaurant, practically giggling with glee. My children were similarly delighted. The manager walked by when we were halfway through and made a noise like a startled possum, but said no actual words. Definitely going back there. The best part of malicious compliance, making your target understand that it was them that effed up and that the blame lies entirely with them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I ask that you hit that subscribe button Drop a like and share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.